All right, Coach, how do you feel after a game like tonight?
Well, I loved our fight in the fourth quarter. I think we outscored them 5-14. So we just got to learn to close it. Obviously we were missing a huge part of our offense tonight, and that's part of it. And so we had to have other people step up. If you look at it, our post players were 17 of 21 from the field. Very proud of the way they stepped up. We got to get collectively better in guard play. But our players know that, and I'm expecting a better practice.
How do you contrast the fourth quarter from the other three?
How do I what?
How do you contrast the other three quarters from the fourth?
Um, Slow starts. It's been just a part of what we do. We got to get better on that. I think once you dig yourself in a hole, it's tougher to get out. So getting into the slow starts, and if you look at it, we didn't get to the free throw line the way we typically do. So I didn't like the way that we wasn't aggressively getting to the line.
You also gave up 12 three-pointers. You had 11 in 2 games before tonight. When you look at the perimeter defense now, what do you think needs to change in order to kind of lock down on that?
Close the gap. We know giving up middle is not what we do. So we got to get better from the defensive standpoint. We've known that throughout the season, and that's one of the things that I plan on hopefully getting us better at.
Saw a Shoal on the bench with the boot on her right leg. Do you have any status on how she's doing?
Right now, we're hoping, to have her back in practice and get her going and getting her going. It's definitely an injury that occurred today.
You've called her the glue of this team before. When you see what the team looks like without her in it, how much can you assess how much she impacts the team with her presence on the court?
Emotionally, her energy, everything. She's just the glue to our program, and not having her on the floor contribute to our slow start. But she still. I saw her on the bench. She's up. She's yelling. She's into the game, which is what you want from a coach. And we're hoping, that we can get her back soon.
You said that it occurred today before the game.
Yes.
Okay, and then Caitlin Peterson, of course, she was out for the Stetson game, and out at the end. Do you have any status on her, how she's doing?
Yes, she's under the weather, and we're wishing her a speedy recovery.
All right, awesome. Of course, you come back from the road trip, over in Vegas. Of course, you had Texas Southern where you had a slow start there, but you also kind of fought back and pulled out the win. What was the biggest thing that you kind of learned from those 3 games?
Well, Vegas was our first road trip. If you look, a lot of programs are guaranteed games. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to put us on the road, and Vegas is UNLV is a great program. I feel like their coach do a great job. And what I learned typically from our team is, from a defensive standpoint, we got to get better. And from our standpoint, collectively, when it comes to slow starts. We did it in Vegas. We did it tonight. We did it on the road. And it's one of those things that we got to get better at. And as you see, you fight so hard to come back in the game, you might as well start it that way. And that's what all of us, that starts with me. And we would get them better at that as from a coaching staff standpoint.
How do you kind of combat that with those slow starts? Because you did that with Texas Southern, happened today, and this time it ended up just kind of coming shortly.
Say that I heard Texas Southern.
Texas Southern, you fell back early. You fell back early. Again, this one difference is you got it in Texas Southern. That's one came up just short. When you kind of compare what happened between those 2 games, what was occurred differently in the comeback between last time?
Well, again, we're missing a huge part of our offense tonight. 2 parts. And so that's the difference when you don't have 2 key people. Go ahead.
No, all right. So you talked about, of course, Gusters and got Kyle, and of course pulling off a double tonight. I mean, you talked about how big the post ended up being, but just especially with the guards being out.
Yeah, I could tell from the way that Kai's been practicing this week that she's had really good a week of practice, that she was going to have a good game. And that's just something we got to feed off of. I'm proud of the way she stepped up with her 22 points and 12 rebounds. And I thought she did a really good job for the team that we were playing defensively. I thought she moved her feet. She did a good job.
The rest of the team, had a little bit of trouble shooting tonight. Emily Rodriguez, 2 for 10. She not fouling as much, but not as really successful as much shooting the ball. Like, what do you go back to at practice, especially with some of the guards after shooting troubles like tonight?
Well, you see guard play. We got to get better and step up and hit some shots. And hopefully we can get that. So we're gonna do a lot of shooting, and we gotta put this one behind us, and we have to move on. And we have a big game coming up. We're opening up in conference, and to me, that's what counts.
What's the biggest thing you've learned about this team through this non-conference slate?
The biggest thing I've learned is, again, I go back to our slow starts. I've learned that we have to do a better job as a coaching staff and getting them going. And so at the end, when we started kind of pressing and getting them going, and in the fourth quarter, we were better.
So then
thank you.
So then how do you take that as you now go into Big 12? You got a top 15 team coming to town in TCU.
Well, hopefully we have 2 of our starters back, so that helps. And then the second thing is just, the excitement. I just love the Big 12, and we have a top 15 program coming in. That alone as a player should motivate you, and as a coaching staff. So I think we'll be fine.
Awesome. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Nice sweater, by the way.
Merry Christmas. Thank you. Thank you, guys.